share my screen. And like any presentation that we have with James Bond themes, I also have a cat. So my cat is going to be here somewhere, just saying hello. Can you see my screen?
Yep, we're good.
Okay, perfect. So let's start. So welcome everyone. Really glad to be here with all of you. And this is a session that I've done, I think, a year ago. So a year and 1 day ago, I think for the first time or something like that, or the last time, I'm not really sure. But because the session now is a bit more time, it's 1 hour and something, I will give you a completely different demo. So all of the time that we're going to see will be very different. So you've met my cat. My cat has opinions, and there is no way out of this. So any evil person, any uh, any film that has anything related to James Bond or spies will always have a cat, and this is mine. She's actually a very good companion, and every time I present a session, at least from home, she's always here. And this is what I actually will miss a lot when doing sessions in person. So in the last 6 months, we've had some sessions in person. I miss my cat next to me, which is actually a good companion. Okay, so I usually present some sessions, and I've presented some sessions for Minnesota already last year, if I'm not mistaken, maybe 6 months ago. And I usually try to present them in crazy ways because these are a bit more interesting, and you still get to learn, but you get to learn in a more fun way. Let's hope. So, of course, we're going to do some themes that are related to cocktails and shaken, not stirred, etc. But the only thing I actually have here is tea. So this is what we get. Okay, so we're all set, and we have something called Power Virtual Secret Agents. So the secret part is going to be out by the end of the session, but hopefully by the end of the session you will be able to see and use Power Virtual Agents normally and have some fun with them. So you probably recognize some of the people on the screen. The other ones are secrets. So anyway, who am I? So as Tiernan mentioned, I am André Melancia from Portugal. I am standing somewhere in the corner of Europe, so in the westernmost point of Europe, almost. Okay, and of course, this is at home. It's not physically in any place because we would know we would have some food. Okay, most of the sessions that I do and the things that get recorded, I put them in andy.pt. So if you go to andy.pt/doc, you will actually be able to see a list of all of the sessions that I've done. It's very incomplete, but the stuff that I have, at least links to videos, etc., some slides, some scripts, etc., at least those were there. Okay. Anyway, I don't want to take any more time in presentations. Let's do some interesting things. So we'll divide the session into two parts, a very quick part where I'll show you some slides. I'm going to compare Power Virtual Agents with Azure bots and mention one or two cognitive services that make sense to talk about. But this session, we will focus mostly on Power Virtual Agents. I usually do another different session, which is Azure bots, which focuses more on the bot sides, on the Azure sides of bots, that is. But in this case, we'll do it from the Microsoft 365 or Office 365, if you prefer, that side. Okay, so first of all, why would you have a Power Virtual Agent or a bot working? So why would you even need it? Okay, so the logic here is if you go to a website, for most things nowadays, if you go to a website for a telecom company, for any kind of company that sells things, big companies anyway, they usually have a chat bot that you have on the website. So you go to a website, somewhere in the corner, something pops up. Microsoft's websites are no different. Something pops up and says, hello, I would like to talk to you. And the first thing you always do is, no, thank you. And you close it and you get rid of it. Okay, so this is the correct reaction. Okay, those are very boring things. No, I'm kidding, because these are actually very useful. Because of multiple reasons. So 2 years ago, they were not as interesting. So of course, people had chatbots. People used some of the chatbots. They are, at least the Microsoft ones, they are based on something called the bot framework. Okay, but people used to do this, but no one really cared. But suddenly there was something called a pandemic, and that pandemic actually generated some problems because everyone is at home, and then not a lot of people were able to just pick up the phone and answer things. So they tried to automate some of the tasks. One of the tasks that was automated, at least here in my country, was the possibility of phoning a service, and then you would get some phone call saying, okay, what's your symptoms? Oh, it's this one. And what about this one? Do you have the symptom? Yes, no, etc. So you keep saying yes or no. This was by the phone, okay? So you can use an IVR using this by the phone, but you can also use this if you use in the internet on a web page. Okay, remember that the concept of bot here, it's a little more than just chat. Okay, it can be chat, it can be audio, it can be other things as well. Okay, so for instance, if you really want to, and this is an extreme level, but if you want to, you can record audio and video and interact with the bot using audio and video. And the video part, the bot will look at you, and if you are happy, the bot will adjust. If you are angry, the bot will adjust completely differently. Okay, so even that, you can do something like that if you really want to. Okay, not that many people will do it, but just to mention that it is possible. So specifically here, why would you use it? So it's an alternative to human agents on the phone. And as I mentioned, during the pandemic, a lot of people actually stayed at home. So everyone used the phones. No one went there in person, and there was a flooding of excessive usage of these kind of services. And sometimes the answer didn't require a human. So a human is usually required when there's something that's automatically you cannot explain. But if you try to use a bot to answer some simple frequently asked questions, maybe you can save some time from the human, and they will answer those questions. And then if there was a question that you cannot answer, okay, let's pass it off to the human. And that is possible. Okay, so the workflows in this conversation. So don't think that the bot is going to be intelligent like in 2001 or 2010, the films. Okay, don't think it's going to be that intelligent. The bots look intelligent because they use some cognitive services like language understanding services, etc., and they will be able to interact with a human in a way that's very natural. However, these always have some predefined workflows, so it's very easy to understand the structure of the bots because you have to program it. It's not magic. It doesn't happen automatically. You program some workflows, things like, okay, I need to travel to somewhere. Okay, so first question, where do you want to travel to? Question one, where do you want to travel from? What dates? Details, how many people will travel with you, etc. Um, um, Sorry about that. Don't worry, I don't have that many slides. But anyway, uh, those kind of questions that you can ask in the bot are usually sequential, and then there's going to be some action. And at the end of that action, then you just return something that says, okay, I was able to book a flight for you or something like that. Okay, those are actually the most typical examples that Microsoft usually provides, but we can actually have a look at different examples. So I've tried to create a completely different example for the session now because we have a bit of extended time. So I think it's going to be enough time for us to try it, but completely doing a demo. So I have a backup because I tried everything since last night. I haven't yet gone to sleep. So since last night, I was actually creating a full bot, and then I will try to replicate in less than, okay, like an hour or something. I will try to replicate the results. It can go terribly wrong. Okay, so user-friendly interface. The interface, yes. If we use the bots from Microsoft, Power Virtual Agents or Azure bots, they have common channels. And these can be things like just a website, or these can be using Teams. We are using Teams right now. So these can be using Teams so that we can interact with all of this. We can also use other channels, but that's on the next slide. We'll see that in a second. So If you use Power Virtual Agents, and this only applies to that one, doesn't apply to Azure bots, you don't need any IT knowledge. So an end user, as long as they are willing to pay for it, an end user can simply use a Power Virtual Agent. It's just as easy as that, okay? So the things you're going to see, any user can do it, any Power user can do it. It's very simple. If you use the Azure bots, in that case, you will need to do some coding. You need to know Azure. You need to know, a bit of programming, of course, but you can still do it. Okay, so what can you do more? So besides the workflow, you can execute actions. Some actions can be something as simple like sending an email, or it can be something like reading or writing to a database, to or from a database, or anything else. Okay, so the session after this one, we'll actually talk about Power Automates, and those actions that get executed, they will actually be done in Power Automates. So I will give you some examples of what we can do. I will focus more on the bot side, on the Power Virtual Agents, but in the next session, you can have some examples. So Nate will give you some examples of what you can do with Power Automate, and then you can integrate these bots with Power Automate. Remember, Power Automate is the new name of Microsoft Flow, but Microsoft keeps changing the names for pretty much everything. It's completely crazy. Everything has to be Power now. So Power Virtual Agents, Power Automate, Power Query. You have no idea. Too much. Power BI. Anyway, reading and writing to databases, even web services if you want to. You can even go to things like machine learning. So if you want to add machine learning, if you want to add cognitive services, you can interact with the Power Virtual Agents. But consider this, depending on the type of things that you are going to do, if these are fairly simple things to do graphically, exactly. So I was just reading a comment that says, with so much power available to us, we just need more people to know how to leverage it. Exactly. It's not as easy as we might think. The things are easy to do, but the problem is getting everyone on board to actually do them. And, that takes time. But hopefully, as they say, Rome wasn't built in a day, so it takes time, or actually burned in a day if you want to go for that one as well. So it's the same thing. Okay, anyway, I was mentioning about integration with artificial intelligence, machine learning. So the actual bots, remember, they are not that intelligent. They seem intelligent, but they are very logical. They are very sequential, very logical. But you can even add things like machine learning and any other kind of predictions, etc. So for instance, if you really want to go for it, you can actually add some level of machine learning that will learn from the previous conversations and adapt what you might expect to the next one. For that, you would probably not do that so much in Power Virtual Agents, but you would probably do that in Azure Bots because that would require a bit more in terms of programming. The logic here is that you can do the same thing in one or the other, but the difference is it's exactly the same difference as when you have a Power App and you have a normal programming thing that you do in C#. So in C#, you have full control, you do everything in code. In a Power App, you do everything in a graphical environment. But a Power App can go to a lot of capacity. You can do a lot of crazy things, but from a certain point, it becomes simpler to just use C# because you have a more easy way to manage things in terms of a big application, in terms of a big system. Okay, so this is the same logic for things that are small scale, medium scale. Power Virtual Agents, definitely very interesting. If these are very big, very complex, it might be difficult to manage everything from here. So in that case, I might recommend an Azure bot. Okay. Funny enough, the prices are the exact opposites. Okay. So you can get a Power Virtual Agent per month for about 1,000, and don't get scared. Don't get scared now. Okay. You can get a Power Virtual Agent for about $1,000, euros, something per month. I'm not sure the exact number, but it rounds kind of that number. But you can get an Azure bot if you know how to program it. You can get it as cheap as 20, okay, $20, 20 euros, something like that. So you can see the proportion is actually very different. Don't worry. In the when we start the demo, I'll show you how you get this for free. Okay, so no stress there. I'm actually using a developer account to try this out. I'm not using this in a production environment, but in any case, I'll show you exactly how we can do that. Okay, so this is the infrastructure here, and this is one of the last slides that I have. All of the rest will be demos. So how does this work? So you have a user somewhere. The fact that the user has a helmet doesn't mean anything. Okay, someone asked me this before. It doesn't really mean anything. It's just the first icon that looked good that I added. But anyway, the user will interact with one of the channels, and these are really called channels. And the channels can be anything from Teams, and we are using Teams. Remember that I cannot add the bot that I'm going to create to this team, so you cannot experiment with it here, but I will provide you with a link that you can try directly on a browser. So I'll copy paste that into the chats, and while we're playing around with this, you can try it out by yourselves as well. Okay, and some of the channels will be a website. You can embed this into something. You can do Power Apps as well, and you can embed this there. But you can also do a few other things like Cortana. You can use Slack. You can use Skype. You used to be able to use Skype for Business with this as well. It's kind of deprecated for the last 2 years, okay? But I know it was extended in terms of time. But even if you cannot use it, there's always a trick, which is you hack it and you do it by yourself using REST APIs. So, if everything fails, REST APIs, okay? It's like Mythbusters, but instead of C4, you use REST APIs. So anyway, Facebook is also very interesting because remember when you go to a Facebook page, and sometimes you go to a Facebook page and the page pops up and says, hello, I'm the page bot. Would you like to talk to me? And what do you do again? You say no and you get rid of it. But the thing is that when that happens, you're actually activating a bot. So every time someone joins a page, you're activating a bot. How can you use that for your advantage? Well, immediately you'll know in terms of counts that someone else accessed your page. That's a good thing. But at the same time, it doesn't give you any details about the person because Facebook has a lot of privacy settings defined. So you cannot control, you cannot see like IP addresses or anything like that. That is not available for you unless you click on a link and then it jumps out. In that case, yes, in that case it's yours. But if it's just inside of Facebook, you cannot do anything with it other than to just interact with the user. Okay, so the channels are common with Power Virtual Agents and Azure bots, and that's fine. That's really great for us because we can do it in one, we can do it in the other and work it out. They are not the same. So Power Virtual Agent and Azure bot, they're not 100% the same, but they are based on the bot framework. Okay, so in the end, there are ways to get around this and transform one into the other because structurally they are kind of compatible. Okay. So how does this work? Power Virtual Agent is very independent. The Azure bot will require a lot more things. But when I mean here Azure bot architecture, that doesn't mean it's a special thing. I'm just saying that inside of this blue thing, we have stuff inside of Azure. Okay, that's it. That's the logic. And here we have stuff inside of Office 365 or Microsoft 365 if you prefer. In reality, all of this infrastructure is part of Microsoft data centers. So all of this is actually the same thing. So when you have an Azure Active Directory and you have an Office 365 Active Directory, these are actually the same thing, and you can interact with both of them exactly the same way. You can go to one place, you can go to the other, create, delete users in both places. It just works. So when you have a Power Virtual Agent, it does have things that run in Azure, but you just don't see them. That's the big difference. Okay, and pretty much the Power Virtual Agent will have language understanding services there internally. So that technology will be used, but we just don't see it. Okay, so how do we make Power Virtual Agent do things external to the to the interface it has, to the workflows it has of just asking questions, hello, goodbye, etc. Well, you can actually run things in Power Automate, and when I mean etc. here, there's more for dynamics, etc. But here today we'll focus mostly on Power Automate. And with Power Automate, you can pretty much do everything. Okay, because there's thousands and thousands of connectors. Again, let me refer you to the next session, and you will be able to see that you can do a lot of things. Here we'll only do one or two, and then you can save data. You can do whatever you want. You can read data. You can interact with other systems. You can book a flight, let's say using a web service or something. So that's perfectly possible. Now, if you go to Azure Bots on top, that's slightly different. So Azure Bots, um, require you to write some codes. So you can go to Visual Studio Code, anything you want, and you go there and then you ask to, let's say Visual Studio, we installed bot framework, etc. And then you can say new projects, and then you say bot. Okay, and then you specify there's 2 or 3 different types of bots. This will change over time. So, in 6 months, this will be different from today, but they will create some bots. Some of the bots will use language understanding services, other you will use Q&A maker. I'll explain this in a second, but then you can interact with the things in Azure, you can deploy them to Azure, and then you can try them out. Now, the intelligence that I mentioned in these bots, they are not intelligent. These are, again, workflow sequences of codes. What makes them intelligent is this: language understanding services, and to a certain point, Q&A maker. Okay, and Power Virtual Agents have at least language understanding services inside. Now, language understanding services, how does this work? If we have time towards the end, I'll actually show you, but it will take like a phrase, and then if I say something like, computer, please turn on the light in the kitchen. Okay, and then it will break it down to computer, and the computer knows you're talking to the computer, and then please you just ignore, but then just say turn on the light, turn off the light, etc. And then in the kitchen, that's a location. So turn on, turn off the lights, that would be an action, or in this case, an intent. That's the technical term, but it's basically an action. And then the things like the kitchen, etc., those are your parameters, or in this case, they are called entities. Okay, and we also have entities here in Power Virtual Agents, so the logic is the same. Okay, so here in Azure Bots, you have something called dialogues, so a sequence of activities that you run. In Power Virtual Agents, you have an almost equivalent called topics. Okay, why they don't call it dialogue or vice versa, I have no idea, but it would be so much simpler for everyone if they just called exactly the same thing to everyone, right? That would be much easier, but no, they have to be different. But anyway, so what are these 2 magical things that will help you? So language understanding services is basically that logic where you break down the sentences, etc. Q&A maker is completely different. So take an example of a frequently asked questions. You have a website and it says question and then answer, question and then answer. So you have the 2 things usually together, okay? And a Q&A maker is something that will receive the equivalent, let's say, of a table with questions and then with answers. And you can ask different questions to get the same answer. So if you can say, how's the weather like? Or is it raining today? Or something like that, if you just want to get the weather. Okay, so you can ask different questions to get maybe the same answer. Okay, in most cases, these answers should be more like fixed. So these, I'm not going to say they need to be constant, because they don't. You can make them dynamic if you really want to. You can add some parameters to them, or you can even use the equivalent of macros or something and replace content. So when is the next train arriving to somewhere? And then you say, oh, the next train is, and then, put some crazy things like square brackets or something that you execute, look it up, and then put it back there, or something like that. And that you can actually do. But typically Q&A maker is for simpler things like just frequently asked questions. And the magic of Q&A maker is that you can actually get files, and we'll see that in Power Virtual Agents as well. You can actually get files and receive them as PDF, as Excel, as docx, like Word. In the case of Q&A maker, also websites. Although I tried that in Power Virtual Agents, they say it doesn't work, but it actually worked. So it does work as well. So even if it is a website, if it has a frequently asked questions, it will work, and you will be able to download it if it's not very complex. Okay, so all of these allow you to make the bot seem more intelligent because it will give you nice answers. One of the extras you have in Q&A maker, and you can actually copy that into language understanding services if you really want to, is that Q&A maker has something called Chit Chat. And that's basically lists of things that you do for chit chats. So if you say, hello, how are you? And, the bot will say, I'm good, how are you? Or something like that. And then they will just ignore your answer. But if you ask things, you probably remember when Cortana and Siri started. Everyone kept asking Cortana, what's your name? How old are you? Where were you born? Are you from this planet, etc.? And then they would ask you questions like, okay, do you know Siri? And then, Cortana would answer something less, yeah, I know, but, my friend Siri is not very intelligent or something like that. So they would do some crazy things to answer. These answers were actually predefined. So someone came up with those answers and wrote those answers as an option. And then you would select out of a random list, you would select one of those. So this is not, Cortana was not intelligent in that sense. It was simply one of these things, but with steroids, much bigger, okay? So this is not that much different. Now, having said that, let's play around with this. So I have a few links here, but I have many more here that I will copy to the chat because, come on, someone said that the font is not good. It's not. Just blame Austin Powers for this. But in any case, you have the links in the chat, but these are easy, so it's really no problem. So let's try this out. I'll go one by one and show you that, okay? So, by the way, now everything is going to be demos, okay? So if you have any questions, you are welcome to ask, and I am here. Let's make it interactive. I am here, and we will try things, okay? So anyway, first things first, the developer program, etc. So you can join this developer program and then do some steps, and if you do, you will get an Office 365 tenant, which is basically something that looks like this. So something that looks like this. So it's you can see it here. So something at then the name of the tenant, which is a crazy name, .onmicrosoft.com. Okay, so that name, that tenant will actually have a lot of licenses, etc., that you can use. So you can use this as a sandbox to try it out. As far as I can tell, these trials last for around a month and a half. It depends because I generate them in a different way, and each of them will have a different timing. Sometimes it's 1 month, sometimes it's 1.5. I have no idea why. But one of the things you can actually do is you can extend the trial for free, unlimited time, even without paying. But you need to add a credit card. But you don't pay, but you need to add a credit card. So that can last you a year, even more. If you just do, if you just do development, that will still last you longer. Okay, so join the developer program. You can create an account. Why should you create an account and not use your company one? Well, first of all, you can get fired, and that's a real possibility. But most importantly, because your company probably has some global administrator that defines the rules, and you are not the global administrator, so you cannot do a certain number of things. One of them, for instance, is to be able to deploy the app, so to publish the app into the Teams channel. So you will not be able to enable the app in Teams because it requires you to have administrator approval. And in that case, you probably don't have that approval unless you are doing that actually not for playing, but for actual production. But you can do that here. You can play around with anything. You can destroy anything. It's the equivalent of a real tenant. You can simply cannot use it for anything professional. Okay. So having said that, let's play around with what we have. So if you go to admin.microsoft.com, this is the administration part of Office 365 or Microsoft 365. And you also have the equivalent on the other side, which is portal.azure.com. But in this case, you can see that when this was created, and this was created yesterday at night, the other ones I had failed for some reason. So I've created this one yesterday, and it has all of these users. One of them is going to be this one, MOD administrator. I have no idea what MOD stands for, but that administrator will be me, and it's called admin at something, and that user actually has a lot of different permissions. So let's have a quick look, and this is what you need to know in terms of permissions before you actually start with this. Okay, so I actually have E5, but you can try with E3, etc. So it's okay. So Enterprise 5, but you will need things like Power Automate Free. A lot of people get this, so it's easy. Unless your administrator blocks this, you get the free version, and it has a few thousand flows that you can run every month in your included. I have no idea how many. It's a commercial value. It keeps changing, so I have no idea. But then you can add this Power Virtual Agents viral trial. okay? And this gets added the first time you go to this page. If you go to powerva.microsoft.com, and you have that link there if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, you have that link there. So if you go to this one, the first thing that happens is that they will ask you, look, you don't have a license to play around with Power Virtual Agents. Would you like to start a trial? And I do apologize for not having a copy of the screen here because I've already said yes. It was obviously necessary, but let me mention what you can expect in terms of problems. Okay, so I've noticed that when you try to get that screen, sometimes, at least for some of the old tenants that I had here, developer tenants, they actually failed and didn't allow me to go to the next page. There was something wrong with it. This week is not particularly good for Microsoft in terms of Office 365 and in terms of Azure as well. There are some, excessive usages in the whole world that something is not perfect anyway. So that can be a reason why yesterday I wasn't able to do some of those things. So I've just created a new tenant. This one is physically in the United States, but it can be in a different place, but it's physically in the United States. I did a bit of playing around with it, and then it worked. So once you say okay, you actually go here and you have a Power Virtual Agents license. It's a trial, but you can still have it. Okay, you can actually extend it even after the, I don't know, 60 days or something that it allows. If you want to really know where it is, you can go here to billing, and then from here you have your products and licenses, so you can check out in both of these. So one of these is going to say that one user is using the agents viral trial and the Power Automate free. So this is the user that I've created yesterday that I'm using today. Okay, this admin user that I have here, admin at something. Okay, so having said that, this is all you need to know in terms of general administration in the tenants. I will need to mention one other thing, which is not specific for the tenant, but it is specific. If you click here, show all, you actually have to go to all of the other admin centers, and one of them is the Power Apps admin center. Okay, so when you go here, before I'll show you this, let me recap. So we were on they ask you about the trial when you go to this page, and then immediately you'll get this page here. Okay, and this page here will ask you to create a bot. So you give it a name. Okay, I will create a bot name. So MI6 bots. Okay, so just to give it a nice name. What language will the bot speak? English, yes. What environment would you like to use? Well, in this case, you can say create an environment, or you can use this one. I had problems yesterday with this one because I created that one. Remember that I just created a trial. I click on that one, and then it said, oh, error or something. Okay, I'm okay with that. There was some kind of error, but what I saw online, and this never happened to me before, is that you had to wait a few hours until something happened, and then you could start. I don't like to wait hours. Okay, I like to fix the problem now. So what I did was that you can go here to when it says create an environment, and remember this is the Power Apps environment, Power Platform environments. Okay, you can create one or more. The same way you also have things like workspaces in Power BI. You have environments in Power Apps. Okay, so in this one you can go here to environments. And then in this case, I only have one contoso, but inside of this contoso, what I actually had to do to make things quick, and I tried in 2 or 3 tenants before I did, was to go here and actually add a database. Okay, so I've added a database that didn't exist. And because I created a database, I think it's here on settings, because I created the database, I was actually able to continue. Just create a database if that's the problem, and it will just work. Okay, after 5-10 minutes, it will just work. Okay, but anyway, the Power Platform Admin Center, let me just copy paste this for you in case you need it. Might be something that you might need to use as well, if for some reason this is not working. But in my case, let's hope that this is okay. MI6 bot, English, Contoso is the same one. I'm signed in as the usual one, create. Let's hope that this works, okay? If this doesn't work, I have a problem. No, I'm kidding. I have other bots. If everything fails, it's I have at least something to show you. So this will take 1 or 2 minutes. In the meantime, let's just wait for the thing to load. And once this is loading, okay, explore bots. Yeah, just get rid of this. So I have an MI6 bot and I can immediately try to test the bots, but I will get to that in a second. So first of all, I will go, by the way, this is something that's been happening to me since yesterday. All of these errors, they don't seem to affect me, but they are very annoying, okay? An expected error blank. I have no idea what this is, okay? But don't worry, things are working anyway, so I'm happy. But at least from this point on, things will be working. So I have a different bot here. So I have a bot, James Bots, which is a different one. And this one is actually a copy paste from the other one, so it's not that much different. But I do have it with a different logic. So first of all, let's see what we have. It's the same as the other one, but I will keep the other one for us to try out things, okay? So this one, how does this work? So first of all, if that's okay, I will shrink this down a bit. Hopefully everyone is able to see it so that it will fit and we will be able to see things like this. Okay, so what do we have here? Well, we have test bots environment. We have these things here that says topics, so we are on topics, and then everything inside will show. But because I need the space, I'm going to hide this. Remember, we're here on topics, okay? So here what we have? Well, we have, again, topics. We have basically two types of topics. Ones that come automatically with the bot and you cannot change it. It's the always on that you see here. They come here, they are the predefined. And then you have others that you can play around with. So the demo that you're going to get is this one with multiple lessons. So I'm actually going to start, and when you start with the greeting, okay? And this greeting, I've actually changed this a bit. So this is the only change I did in the whole bot, so don't worry. But when you start, you can actually have a lot of trigger phrases, and then you can specify if you want to, you can actually specify more phrases by saying ads. I'm not going to do that now, don't worry, but I just want to show you that this is actually possible, okay? So you say bots, James Bots, that's fine. And you are a virtual agent, and then you can do other things. You can talk to things. But first of all, let's see how this works. Well, first of all, I'm just going to say hello. And the trigger phrases will detect my hello, okay? This is the starting point of any box. And then I'm just going to say trigger phrases, I detect it's hello, so that's fine. And then from here, I actually have message, bot, James Bot. By the way, neat trick, you can click on this and it will actually focus the window or the box that generated that message. So this is very practical. This didn't exist in the beginning and it's very practical. So, but anyway, a bot, etc. And then you do some things, speak to a human, what can I do for you today? And I actually know how this works. So one of the tricks that you can do is that because this one is over, so it reaches the ends, but it's never going to be closed because the bot will continue forever. The bot is not really closed, in fact, okay? If you want to do codes with it so that you have some JavaScript code on a web page or something that actually closes the bots, you can put up a message with some token or some macro that actually says, oh, web page, please close my bots, okay? And you can do that, but in practical terms, if the bot continues there, you can keep asking questions and it starts from the beginning, okay? So every topic is parallel. That means that there is actually no starting point if the topics are not in sequence. And if the topics have one of those trigger things in the beginning, you can start with any of those. So an example of this is lesson 1. So lesson 1, you have trigger phrases, store hours, when are you open, etc. So you can actually add more if you want to, okay? But let's say that you do, when are you open? This is actually very different from the other one, so I'm not sure if this will work. Oh, it actually worked. So even though these are completely, actually, no, this is actually here already. But open hours, maybe open hours is better. So open hours. Oh, yeah, wait a minute. I have to cancel this. So yeah, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. I don't care. This is not what I wanted. Okay, so let's let's try again. One of the things you can do is suddenly I jump to a different topic, and this can be very, very confusing. But the best way to do it is click on this and say just track the topics. Okay, so let's try this again. So opening hours. Okay, maybe this will help, maybe this won't. Okay, so here, opening hours. I'm happy to help with store hours. So Wait a minute. Did that answer your question? So let's go back to here. So I click on it because I said opening hours, and then I'm going to have to see what actually happened. And you are here. So when are you closed? When are you open? That triggered it, or something similar. It doesn't have to be the same. This is very intelligent. I'm happy to help. And then store hours are this. This is just a fixed message. And then you say ends, and then the conversation ends. Did that answer your question? So when you go to this, did that answer your question? You're actually jumping to a different topic that says ends of conversation. And that is actually a different topic, because you can go here, and that is actually a different topic called end of conversation. It's a special topic. You can play around with this, but basically it's a special topic. And then they will ask you, did that answer your question? Yes, no, etc. If you say yes, so if you say yes, or if you say no, so yes is here, no is here, and this is something else, and it doesn't happen, so it's only a yes or no. But let's say it's a yes, and then you say, oh, confirmed success. That's another topic where you have another dialogue, and you just say, thank you very much, please rate the service, thank you. If it is a confirmed failure, let's actually say no this time. Okay, so let me just get rid of this one first, and then we are green here, so I expect this to be green, and then this one to be green. So if I click on no, those two will be green, and that actually jumped into a different topic called confirmed failure. So I'm going to click here to find where that topic was. Okay, confirmed failure. And then they say, sorry, I wasn't able to help. Would you like to talk to a human? And in that case, talk to a human, and then you can do escalate. Escalate, supposedly, you can add your own links, but you require different technology so that the user, and a real user, a real human, will interact with that user. Okay. Otherwise, if you just rephrase, you just continue to talk in the bot. So pretty much the same. Okay, so you can play around with this. You also have things like products, etc. So I'm not going to detail that much, otherwise I don't have time to do all of the demo. Okay, but these lessons, you can try them in sequence, and you will be able to see things like, let me show you here. So for instance, if you can go and say, look, glad to find the store near you, which location, Redmond, Seattle, etc. And then you will be able to choose one, and then they will tell you the address of the store. That's all very nice. But then they will ask you things like, oh, look, the store, one of these, end of conversation. It's actually not this one. The one I wanted to show is like on number 3. So on number 3, you can say, oh, place an order by items. And then you can say, look, okay, so California, Washington, Oregon, and then if any other condition, so if it's not in any of those 3 states, you can actually say, oh, you have to pay extra. Okay, so is that acceptable? Yes or no? So if you say yes, you continue, or if you say no, or is it the other way around? So actually one of those will continue. The other one, when you say no, it will just go away, right? So this one will continue. So you can actually go here and say, look, what do you want to buy? And then you have a list, desktop, computer, etc. And then you can actually handle what you do with each of these. This one is one by one, so these are being treated one by one. If you are someone that handles databases, you know that there are better ways to do this. So there's automatic ways to do this kind of thing, okay? So it continues, please complete your order, etc., and then it goes away and it does the next part, okay? So having said that, I want to show you the next part, okay? Because I still want to create a bot myself, but I will show you the next part. So the next part is you go here, and first of all, you go here to publish, and you have to publish the bots. I didn't change it, but I could click on the bot, and after a few seconds, it would be published. It would be ready to use, and then you can actually play around with some of these channels. So to go to the channels, you can go here to channels, and then you can associate a channel with things like Teams or a website or something like that. So a custom website or a demo website, what's the difference? Well, in the demo websites, you can actually write, like I wrote here, MI6 Power Virtual Agents, Power Virtual Secret Agents, and then a few hellos, etc. that I created. If I want to copy this address, okay, and I will try this. If I copy this address, a second, I will actually try it here, see if this is the correct one. and then I have access to that. Actually, it's not MI6, it's the bot James bots that I've created, and you can just say things like hello if you want to. But by the way, one of the things people usually ask is that the bot started empty. How can I make it start something? Well, in JavaScript, you can immediately say the equivalent of pressing this button when it starts. Okay, so it's easy enough to start something like a cue card or something. This is much more normal in the Azure bots, because in the Azure bots, when you start the thing, you say that you want to start with a cue card or something like that, an adaptive card or something that allows you to show things. But here, maybe an icon or an image, something like that. But here it's a bit more basic. So you can do the same thing. So store hours, etc. So the usual things. So you are able to see it. Okay. So this is one, and I can actually show you this. So I can actually copy paste this for you if you'd like. Okay. You can actually try out. Try bots, James bots. Okay, so this is pretty much the default, the same that Microsoft creates it. Okay, and then we're going to have a different kind of bot. Okay, so one of the other questions people usually ask me is, how do you authenticate this bot? Okay, so one of the ways to authenticate the bots is that you can go here to security, and then you can define security for the bots. So besides a few other details, the most important one is here authentication. So if you say no authentication, that means that it will be perfectly okay, nothing gets authenticated, but you just use it anonymously. But if you say only for Teams, that means that, and this is something that people requested because only the last one was available. And this is the only for Teams is interesting. So you can deploy it in Teams, but you cannot deploy it in a website. You can only deploy it in Teams, and that will automatically detect the username and password, well, just the username, the credentials, basically, the user that you were using for Teams, and that will declare the user back to your bot so that you can authenticate that user. If you decide to use it manually, you can actually use Azure Active Directory or anything OAuth to authenticate, and in this case, you specify how you want to authenticate that user, but you will need to go to the Azure Active Directory, create an app. So basically create an app is just go there and say, please create an empty app. That gives you an app ID and the secrets, and you can use it to play around with it. So it's very simple. Okay, so you can actually use it, but for that one, it's then you can use it anonymous or with authentication, and then you actually have a box that says authenticates. Okay, or it's one of the actions that you say authenticates. Okay, I won't go into a lot of this because I don't have that many things to authenticate, but now I'm going to go to a different bot. Okay, so I've created a different bot called the NSA bot. Okay, so 1 second. It takes a bit of time to transition. Okay, so this NSA bots, I actually have some topics here. And one of the things you probably noticed is this, I have the exact same thing we had before. So I just created the bots. I didn't clean up anything, but I have some suggested ones here. So where did this actually comes from? So I have the link here just out of curiosity. Okay, so NSA and FBI, etc. You might think that this is strange, but this is coming from this thing. Okay, so nsa.gov, etc., etc. So this is literally coming from this general frequently asked questions. I copy pasted this into the thing and it worked. Okay, however, I will try with a different one, which is this one. So a PDF. Okay, it's the same thing, same logic, but I will try with a PDF. Okay, so I will try with this one. It's also from the NSA. I tried MI5, they didn't have PDFs, so or frequently asked questions that were interesting. But anyway, let's give me a second. Let me go back here, and these questions here are interesting. Actually, these here actually come. Let me just try to see if I can show this. So did the NSA and FBI release this guidance now? Details, advisories, did the NSA release this guidance now? So how do you access this? Because this will take like 2 or 3 minutes to load, I've preloaded this, but I will show you exactly how this works. It's not magic. It's just, it's like a cooking show. It's already done. I'll show you how to put things in the oven, but then it magically is already out of the oven and you don't have to wait 1 hour for it to cook, okay? So how does this work? You go here to the top and you say suggest topics. Okay, and then you can add that link of PDF. You can add the other link that was from the website, etc. And then when you click start, it will actually try to process and generate those suggested links here. So now I have 110. So existing ones, last one is like lesson 1. If I go here, I like this one, I like this one, I like this one, I like this one. So let's just add to topics, okay? I could just select all if I wanted to, but that takes a long time. So I add the 4 of them to topics, okay? And then, give me seconds. Oh, not new topic, sorry, not what I wanted to do. 1 second, not new topic. So here, the last 3 are here. You can have status is equal to 1. You will need to do that because by default, the status is equal to off, okay? This one is missing apparently. So you can actually try it out. So let's try out the DNSA and FBI, something like that. So I can use the test bots. So let's try it out. Release guidance. So let's go to guidance, okay? Let's go to something like guidance. Okay, so let's try NSA. Maybe one of this will work. Yeah, this one worked. So guidance. Yeah, was it correct? Yeah, it is correct. Maybe it takes a bit of time to index or something. That's possibly the case. But did the NSA, etc. So we actually ran this thing in a very easy way. Did that answer your question? So the next they actually generate this, and then they jump into end of conversation. Okay, and then you can ask more questions. So you can ask the next question with can you tell me? I don't know. Tell me. Nope. So other threat actors. Maybe there's some threats. Okay, threats. We have no reason to believe other threats, so this is probably this one. Okay, so you can actually import all of those without actually having to do the work yourself. Okay, so that's another one. Okay, let's try now, because this is the NSA bots. Let's actually try. Yep, exactly. That's very easy. This Q&A, by the way, this functionality is the same as Q&A Maker. Okay, so they probably use the same technology from Q&A Maker to extract the data. Okay, so I want to show you how to publish this, but to Teams. Okay, so first of all, let's go here to Teams. Okay. Teams. Remember, I'm using a different Teams. This is on the browser. I'm using the Teams with you, in a different tenant. This is still the one from the browser. So this is from all of this anyway. And I have my bot James bot that I published before, so I can still say hello here, and it will probably work. If I didn't screw this up, it will probably work. Okay, so it might take a few seconds before it loads. So yeah, it's still valid. Okay, but now I want to load the other one, the NSA bots. Okay, so how do I do this? Well, first of all, you can go here to channels, and then you have Teams, you have demo websites. By the way, I didn't mention the custom website. What is the custom website? Just for completeness, I can show you this. So you have basically an address where you can load this into a web page, and then you can fiddle with it if you want to. If you actually learn about embedding, you probably follow for docs.microsoft.com. They actually tell you a lot of things about CSS, about JavaScript, etc., that you can interact with the bots from the page, and that actually makes it a bit more, you start it automatically, give it some text, you close it automatically, etc. So you can do that from the JavaScript and from the CSS. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be lazy and copy paste this part. I don't want to create a web page for this. I'm lazy. Okay, proud of it. Very lazy. So this one seems strange, but the bot is here. It's supposed to be smaller, right? This is supposed to be on an iframe or something like that. But if you say hello for my bot Gems bot, it's still here. Okay, so it actually works. Okay. By the way, I need to go to a different one that's not my bot James bots, because that's not convenient. So I want the NSA bots. I was actually seeing the bot James bots. I want the NSA bot now because that is not on Teams yet. So this one is still the NSA bot, so no doubt now. For the other demo, this was okay, but for this one, I have to do the right one. So NSA bots, I don't have it. Turn on in Teams. And that will take maybe a minute or two, but we'll have a look. So hopefully this will be okay. So NSA bots, this was added. Will this work? The answer is no. This will not be enough. So let me just get rid of this one. If you go here for apps, and if you search for bots, so I should have my NSA bots and I should have my James bot bots, but that doesn't work. So I have, from this, I have my NSA is pretty much empty. And if I go for James, then I have my James bots, okay? By the way, when I click on this, I can actually go to open or add to a team. So open is just putting it on the left here. So it's where this thing is here, okay? Bot, James bots in an app here, but you can actually put it inside of a team, play around with it, etc. So how do we put this NSA bot, which is a different bot, there? So first of all, you can say edit details, and I'm just going to do that. So I can change the color, and the NSA is a bit different, but I can put red here. I can actually go to, so this one, change icon. Give me a second. And I can actually put my ugly face here, but this one is James Bond. I have this for the other bots, so I will use this one. This is for MI6. We're using NSA. It's different, so I'll just use this one, okay? And change icon, because this is the NSA. What kind of a different color? So I have no idea. I don't know. So maybe blue, just to be different, okay? Actually, I'll use blue. That's fine. So short description. So NSA bots stuff, bot created live MN365, whatever. Okay, something written here. Okay, allow users to add this bot to a team. So yes, there is a few options for more, but developer information. Let me just say myself, for instance. The rest I'm not going to change, and then save. Okay, so let's see what happens with this one. Okay, so this one is okay here, but you still need to do something because it will not show up. So settings, again, you can see a few details, but it's not the one you want. And this is a trick where you have to read the documentation. It's very annoying. So you have to go to admin.teams.com. Okay. And from this one, you actually have to go and look for the apps available in Teams, and then you have to approve it. Okay. So here on the left, I go to Teams apps. So remember, admin.teams.microsoft.com, specific for Teams, manage apps. And then from here, I should probably have a pending app at some point in time. So I've had this problem before. Sometimes it takes a while, and this is very strange. So sometimes it takes a while, and save. I need to go to publish. Yeah, of course, I need to publish it first. My fault. So I need to publish it first, of course, right? I've just played around with the NSA bot. I need to publish it first, otherwise it will not work. So you need to publish it first, and then you go to the channels. But okay, it's been published. Let's go to the channels, teams, and now hopefully I will be able to play around with this. Give me a second. It will take a second. So you can actually open bots on Teams. So you can jump into Teams, but not the thing, but use the app instead. The problem is it's not going to be available here. Let me just try to refresh. We'll see if this is available here. I'm not sure yet. We'll see if this is here or not. Not yet. Okay, so sometimes this is actually a problem I had because this was very, very slow. So they ask you for permissions, etc. This is expected. So I cannot have permissions until I actually continue. So from here, you can actually say save again, saving your changes. Maybe one of this, I think it's only a matter of time in the end, okay? But there's something that happens here that takes X amount of time before you can actually add that to the lists, which is very annoying, okay? So it's still not there. So if you search for things like bots, bot is a bad idea. NSA is probably better, okay? So it's still not there. Okay, but it's probably just a matter of a few minutes, but let's try James. Okay, so bot James bot, and let's see what the problem is with this one. Oh, wait a minute. I know what the problem is. Give me a second. Oh, sorry. I know what the problem is. So browse by everything. So it's no, it's not this one. There was a place where this might be able to be seen. Yeah. Okay, but anyway, let's try the other bots, James bots, okay? And from this one, it says, first of all, you're going to have a message here. Would you like to publish it? Yes or no? If you say yes, then you see this thing, and then you have the allowed yes or no. So you say allowed yes, allowed no, and then it will be available or not available in the thing. Okay. So here, when you go to the James bot, that should be there. Remember, it might take a few minutes to upload, to update. Okay, that's very annoying. So that's for me, that's a problem. Just get rid of this one. So this one, open, so you can still try it out, and then you can say, oh, I'm sorry, I don't understand, or something like that. That should be expected. Yeah, that's perfect. But anyway, the other one, for some reason, did not show up here. Okay, so 1 second. Manage apps. It should have one here that says pending approval, but for some reason, it's still not here. So it might take a bit of time. What I did is that I actually tried this 2 times, and then it worked. But I am very lazy, and I like things to be very fast, and I think that this is just takes a bit of time. It's annoying, but anyway, let's continue. Okay. So one last try to see if this is finally here. Probably not, but yeah, sadly this is normal. Okay, but I do promise you, after a certain amount of time, they will be there. Okay, having said that, let's go and try a different example now. So the next example that I want to show you, and let's get rid of a lot of things that I don't need from here, is to play around with the other bot. So I actually have a QBot, okay, and I've created a QBot, and that QBot, I want to show you a demo in here. So I use this to try out the same thing I'm going to show you. So if all of this fails, in the end, I'll show you what I did there, okay? But this QBot pretty much has a few topics. So, and this is what I'm going to try to mimic. So on this side, I have things that I can copy paste and try to create things. Let's see if this works. We'll try, okay? But basically you have here, so I have a greeting, which says hello. So let's try it. And then let's try to replicate all of these things, okay? So let's say greeting. So if I say hello, I will say, hello, welcome to MI6, I'm QBot, etc. Do you know who you are? So if I say who, I can actually authenticate myself. And this is the part I want to show you here, because I'm not going to do this in the next bots. Okay, so you can actually go here. So I'll click here. And let me show this one first, actually. So if I go here for security, you will see that authentication is actually defined for Teams. So if I publish the QBot on Teams, it will work, okay, and it will authenticate myself. Locally here in this test environment, it also works, but let's have a look. So if I click on this one, I'll actually be in a topic that says who, so who am I, etc. And then I get the information here. So how do I get this information? Well, these are actually variables, okay? You will see a lot of variables in the next session when you talk about Power Automate, but here we have a few variables as well. So one of the variables that gets created when I enable that security are these two variables, so bot.username display and bot.user_ID. And these give you the crazy ID, the GUID, and the name of the user, so that you can use this for, I don't know, something. Okay, so you can send this over to Power Automate and ask, does this user have permissions to do something? And then you get the information back, and then you continue to provide that thing to the user. So you can do that. Okay, so because this one is very specific, this is not part of the other demo. I just wanted to show you this here. Okay, all of the rest of the things that you have here, I will try to create my by now. Okay, so first of all, let's go to the new bot that I've created for you during the session. It should be okay now. Remember, if something fails in the bot, that means you need to wait like 5 minutes until everything is deployed. Sometimes you start to do things, they fail. That's because something in the background needs to be deployed first. It is a bit annoying, especially in live sessions, but it does happen. Okay, so that's why I already have copies of the things, and I've created that bot much before this to make sure that nothing would fail. Okay, so we have topics, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of these topics because I don't like them. Okay, so delete lesson 1. You know, I could do this in a different way, but I'm going to be lazy. It's much easier to do it like this. So lesson 4 deletes, and let's hope that I do this in record time. Give me a second, deletes. Okay, delete lesson 4. So hopefully by now, almost everything should be deleted. Okay, give me a second. Oh, delete. Okay, so let's try delete. Okay, so I'm gonna increase the size of this because we will need it. Okay, so I have my greeting. I'm gonna change my greeting. I don't like this greeting from this part is okay, but I don't like the rest. By the way, remember, we are here at topics. I'm just going to shrink this because I need the space. Okay, so remember, topics. Okay, so let's just change the message. So let's say something like this. Okay, welcome to MI6. This is different. Who you are, blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to put a message here. I'm going to delete this one. I'm going to delete this one, so I don't need it. So I'm just going to, my copy paste is all single lines, so I need to put new lines into this. So this is the only thing I do in the greeting, so that's fine. If you say hello, by the way, you need to save it here. You click on save on a regular basis. So if I try hello, 1 second, hello, should be okay. Hello, I'm Qbot. You know, that seems okay. Okay, so greeting is okay, and then let's handle something about the goodbye as well. Okay, just to be nice. Okay, so goodbye. Thanks for chatting with me. So I'm just going to change here something like this. Okay, goodbye, Mr. Bond. Yes, goodbye, Mr. Bond. Okay, and this is all done. So if I say goodbye, blah, 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 exploding pen, goodbye, Mr. Bonds. Okay. Ha 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 ha, goodbye, Mr. Bonds. Okay, so what's next? Oh, I also have a thank you. Sometimes in a bot, you do some nice things like thank you. I don't like this either. So, you know, this seems much better, much scarier, of course. So, evil. Okay, so some evil things here. Okay, so this one is also done. Thanks, dudes. Everyone okay? Okay. If you have any questions, just ask, okay? So if I say thanks, dudes, hopefully I get something like this. Don't thank me yet, Mr. Bonds. Okay, so that's done. Now let's go for the interesting things. So I need to create a new topic. And by the way, I can create a topic from here, or I can create the topic using Bot Composer, okay? But I will do everything from here. There is a tool called Bot Composer. There's another tool called Bot Emulator, but you can try this on your computer. But in this session, I'll do it all from here. Those are usually used more in the Azure bot kind of things, okay? So let me just shrink this for a bit. I need space. So trigger phrases for this. Who am I? By the way, not do who am I. Okay, next one. So first of all, I'm going to give it some name. So untitled will become secret authentication. Okay, and then I'm going to copy the texts like this, and the text will be, first of all, let's delete this. Trigger phrases, I will use as trigger phrases like a secret or top secrets, needs to know, you know, whatever you want to add. Okay, so secret is okay. So I'm going to ask a question. And the question is, well, I'm actually saying the welcome immediately. See, I don't need to add a separate thing to this, okay? But if you want to separate the welcome and the question, you could do it, okay? And there are some reasons when they ask you the question again. So if you say email address and the email address is not valid, they will ask you the full question again. In this case, it's a password. Whatever you write, they will accept. So it doesn't really matter, okay? By the way, this is a bad way to ask for passwords. This is just an example of getting a string and then testing a string. It's not good in terms of security, okay? But anyway, user's entire response, so basically a string. And then I need to save the string into something, okay? So if I save the string into this, here, MI6 user password response. So I've prefixed all my variables with MI6 just in case, okay, so that we know it comes from this. One of the things I can do is that the variables that you have there, so the response is going to be saved into that variable. They can be inside the topic, or they can be inside for the whole bot. So that would be like a global thing. So I will try global first, but it's not what I want, okay? But you can also try it local, which is what we'll do next. If you try it local here, you have the option of receiving variables from other topics. So if you are in a topic and then ask for the next, call a different topic, one inside the other, you can actually pass variables and even pass them back as well, okay? So in my case, I want to try this, okay? And then I'm just going to add a message to say, look, I asked the question, so I want to see the results. So your password was enter, and then I'm just going to put the password. So password is going to be text result. Oh, sorry, not this spot. Oh, wait a minute. Password is going to be, wait a minute. MI6, this one here. Okay. So let's try this out, see if this works. Okay. And then the rest we'll try. Okay. So let's click on save. Let's try it out. And if I say hello, that will be in a different place. Okay. So, oh, wait a second. Okay, I've saved hello. By the way, why did this all disappear? Because when I saved it, as soon as it saves, it clears the screen. Okay, at least on the left side to test the bot. So I say hello. Hello suggests that I should say secrets. I say secrets, and then I go to secret, and now I'm here. So trigger phrases, secrets, and then question. Welcome to Q branch, etc. What's the passwords? And then I'm going to write some passwords. Doesn't really matter what it is, okay? And then I say okay. And then your password was, and then you write the num. So far we know how to create variables, okay? So now let's go for the next, okay? And now after we create a variable, I'm going to need to add a condition. So I need to validate if this password is okay. Again, this is not the correct way to handle security, okay? Just an example of using variables, of using ifs, etc. So you select a variable, which is, but before I do that, give me a second. Before I do that, let me get rid of the condition first. I need to show you one thing first. So if I try this again, because remember that my variable was global. If I and once you define it, it's defined. So if I try secret again, they will actually just reuse the password. They will not ask me again. And I don't want that. I want to be asked every time I go there. So, well, or not, depends. Okay, so I can actually go here to my topic and say that this is not for the whole bot, it's only for this topic. And then every time you need it, you ask for the password, which is better. Now I'm going to ask a condition, and I'm going to say MI6 whatever is equal to shaken, not stirred. Were you expecting something else? Okay, so if the condition fails for some reason, so let's try, if the condition fails, you basically show a message saying invalid password, whatever, okay? And then you say your goodbyes. So you go here and you can say plus sign, and then you say either end of conversation and just do it, or in my case, I can redirect to a topic first, which is a nicer topic that says goodbye. So it says goodbye first, and then it goes into the last end of conversation topics, okay? So you can do stuff in the middle first, okay? So far so good. So I have stuff here in the middle. And it says goodbye. For the other one, I'm just going to add something that says show a message, and I'm just going to say something like this, okay? Password accepted, something like this, okay? So if this is okay, this will work. So I'm going to click save on both of these, and then I'm going to try 1 second. So I'm going to type secrets, and then I'm going to have a bad password. Then this will fail. So it goes all the way down, and then invalid password, Mr. Wrong, etc. You're not an agent. Okay, now let's try the right passwords. Secrets, probably Probably plural still works, yeah. But if I say shaken, not stirred in uppercase, nothing wrong with that, okay? Your password was accepted, and then I can do the next part. So what's my next part? Now I actually have, I will come back to this to enable it, okay? But now I have to create a new topic, and that new topic will be, let me say here, QBranch, okay? So I'm gonna need to speed this up and try this for a bit. So I'm going to ask for a question, okay? So I'm going to get rid of this. I don't need this. By the way, trigger phrases. I don't want any trigger phrases here because I want to start when you ask for the secret and then you go in there, so you continue, okay? So once I create this, once I save this, I will go to the previous one and join that one to continue into this one, okay? However, to debug this, it's actually nice to call it, let's call it branch, okay? Let's call it X branch. That's easier, okay? So that I know I'm here. In the end, I'll remove all of this from the debugging, okay? So this one is nice for now, okay? So I will actually add a question, okay? And the question is going to be, you are in QBranch now. What is your business 007? Okay, and then you have multiple options, okay? So multiple choice questions is one of the options, and I'm going to add options. One of them is going to be take weapon, okay? So we have about 10 minutes. So one of them is going to be take weapon, new option. The other one is going to be travel, okay? And travel. The other one was going to be something, okay? So there's something else, okay? So what I'm actually going to do is that, first of all, I will have 3 questions, okay? So something is basically, something else, okay? Or something else, let's call it like this, okay? So something else. So if it is something else, by the way, I need to have a variable for this, okay? So I'll create a variable for this, okay? Created the variable, all of this is fine, so that's fine. And then if this is not something like this, I will just show a message and say, oh, let's go away, so I don't need this, okay, so go away. If for some reason, and then you go redirect to another topic, that means, let's say, goodbye, okay, so something like this. If you go to any of the other ones, I will have to create weapons and travel, but we'll get to this in a second, okay? So let's click on save, okay? And then I'm going to create the take weapon. But before I create the take weapon, I will need to explain what I need to do. So there are lists that you can create, okay? So you can go here to the left to entities, and you have entities like age, Boolean, city, etc. And I've actually created one already. Actually, not in this spot. So new entity, closed lists, yeah, closed lists. So I'll actually create a closed list of weapons, okay? Closed list of weapons, that's all very fine. Description is the same. So I will add my own gadget car of my gadget car. I can have my own dangerous cat because I have a cat with me. It's true. She's very dangerous. And of course, we can have, let's say, Ukrainian tractor, which is one of the biggest weapons we've seen. So if anyone from Ukraine is watching, glad to hear from you. Okay, so synonyms. Maybe this is an Aston Martin. Okay, something like that. Done. I can have copies of this. Cats. And my cat is actually called Lioa, which in English, that just means lioness. Okay. So all of this, so done, and Ukrainian tractor, just no example. So anyway, you click on save, okay, and then you can add that lists, and then I'm just going to use, so we have a bit less time now. So let's just say close. You also have things for cities, for continents, for countries, date, time, email, etc. So you can define things which are very specific and ask for that kind of thing already, okay? So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go here, home, topic, and I'm going to create a new topic called, and this will be called weapons, okay? So I will keep this simple. So I will actually ask for weapons, okay? And yes, I will, supposedly at the end of the other 2 ifs, I would go and continue on to this. Okay, not sure if we're going to have time for that, but if we don't, let's say weapon, okay, and then we'll try it ourselves from here. Okay, so this one I'll delete, but I'll add, and then I'll say ask a question, and then the question is going to be, hurry up, what weapon do you want? Okay, and then multiple choice, but from the MI6 weapons lists. Okay, so I have a weapons lists, and then the weapons list will be in a variable that I create, give it a name. That's all fine. And then all I have to do is to say the result of the weapon. We don't have time to do ifs on this. It would be fun, but we don't have time. So I'm just going to say a message to say, here is the key to Aston Martin. So let's say after some if we had time, I would actually add, here's the key, etc., etc. Okay, so this is what you would get. Okay, so in the end, you just come back, etc., etc. Okay, so there is actually another one, but because we are limited on time, and I did mention we could have problems setting this up in terms of time limits, I will actually show you the rests with the one that I've already created. Okay, so all of this will work. The examples are pretty much the same, but let me show you what the result is going to be if we use the other bots. Okay, so if I go to this one, so let's just click save just in case, and then I'm going to go to my QBots just to play around with this for a bit. We have about 5 minutes, so I really want to do this quick because the next speaker will talk about Power Automate, and that's fun. Okay, so anyway, we are on topics, so this is the same that you got in the other one, but let's say Q branch. So Q branch would be here. You are in Q branch, take weapon, travel, or something like that, but then they would redirect to take weapon or travel or something in the ways of that. Okay, but let's go for the travel. Okay, let's go for the travel now. Okay, branch travel, and I can actually say travel here. Travel. I'll actually do this. Yeah, travel. And then they say, oh, where do you want to travel to? And I specified city. So if I specify something weird, it will not work. Okay, and they ask me again, so what do you want to go? Istanbul. Okay, apparently everyone goes to Istanbul if they are, secret agents. When do you want to travel to Istanbul? If I say Saturday, it works if I say yesterday, tomorrow, etc. If I say Saturday, funny thing, they ask me which one, last one or the next one. I'm going to say the next one, okay? And then they ask me, can you give me your name? So hello, so some name. That doesn't work. It has to be an email address, okay? Just give me your email address. So if you say something, my own email address, okay, and now they actually say, oh, is this the one you're going for? And then I ask a question which is a Boolean, and then I just have a true or a false. And then if I say no, make up your minds, and it fails. If I say yes, okay, then in that case, I'm actually going to jump to something called Power Automate, which you'll see in the next session. So I'm going to say yes to this one just so that you can see it. And this yes will actually generate an email for me. It will not send me the email to that address. It will send the email to my fixed address because otherwise it would be complicated. But I'm going to show you what I just got for this one, for this email. Okay, so Istanbul with lowercase, current date, just the date, not the time. So current date and time is this one. So yeah, it's correct, UTC. Okay, and then send the information to this one, but I'm actually sending from this one to my Andy test account. So yeah, it is true. But how do I see this? Well, I can actually go here, sorry, this one. I can actually go here, flow details, and you jump into flow.microsoft.com. And then from here, you will actually be able to see things. So I'm going to quickly show you things, and apologies, Nate, if I take a bit of extra time, but I will show some spoiler alerts maybe from your session. And in the beginning and in the end, it's always Power Virtual Agents on top, and then a few parameters. And you can specify if the parameters are text or number or something. And in this case, notify, you have some defaults. So it can be some defaults, but then it returns a value that can be true, false, or whatever you want to just indicate that the This one just says yes, but it can indicate something different. And in this case, I said booking information, all of the text that's here with all of the variables from Power Automate, which you'll see in the next session. Okay, and this goes to a fixed address because, you know, come on, spamming, etc. I don't want anyone for spamming me into this, so it just works. Okay, so one more thing that I wanted to show you. Okay, so this one works okay, and then this is the result of your booking, etc., etc. And I have one more. So if you go for a branch of weapons, so if I say weapon, for instance, okay, so let's say weapon, hurry up, what weapon do you want? And then I have to specify the weapon. So if I say a car, they will say, oh, look, here's the key to the Aston Martin, that's fine. If I specify things like weapon, and then I specify, and this is something that I wanted to show you as well. If I specify what weapon do you want, I want my cats, okay? And in that case, here's the link, in this case to Facebook with cats, okay? So you can actually add my cats to this one, okay? So you can actually add links so that people will click on them, okay? They are on my Facebook, you can see them later. Okay, if something goes different, so if you say weapon, and if you say tractor, okay, in that case, oh, we're running out of time, okay. So if you say tractor, all tractors are busy, and so am I. So, you know, Q says, so am I, I'm also busy, go away, whatever. We don't have that, go away, so that's fine. The last absolute one I want to show you, and I do apologize for running a bit into excess of time, but I wanted to show you this, is when you go for a briefing, let's say that you are in the briefing, I'm just going to say briefing, and they say some messages, so that's all fine. But then one of the things that I've added was I've added a flow that just went to the database and did some things. So what did this flow do exactly? Give me a second, it's loading. I can actually go here. So I've created a table just with some of these columns, and I'm going to do some refresh, okay? So this last one is from right now, okay? And I've just said bond info, something like that. But basically, this is the current date. I just wanted to write something to the database so to show you it is possible, okay? And I'm just going to show you how this works, okay? Just to show you, so the same in the middle, but here I use some connection settings to a database that you have in Azure, could be somewhere else. And then from here, you can say extra text, UTC now, insert into that table. And this is pretty much what I did, okay? So having said that, I think that this is pretty much the things that I wanted to show you. Last one was a bit rushed, and I do apologize for the timing. In terms of questions, if you have any questions, I will stick around for a bit in the chat if you want to ask me questions, or if you go to any social media like LinkedIn or Facebook, Twitter, etc., just ask me questions, and I will be happy to answer them. But I think we have Nate next to answer questions. Okay, so.